Hi everybody, good morning, and we will start in couple of minutes. I mean, a lot of attendees are rushing for the seminar and they're registering as well and joining it. So we would wait for a couple of minutes. Thank you all for joining. A very good morning, hearty warming. I think we begin now. Very good morning once again. And I am quite sure and I hope, pray that all of you be healthy, happy in your own residences currently, and shortly start with the business and engagements as soon as possible. While we stayed at home for the unprecedented and unforeseen event recently, I don't want to discuss too much about the event. It's not very hard feeling to discuss, but we stayed at home, all of us, compulsorily, without our wish. We all felt how it's important to be comfortable at home. And let me tell you, thermal insulation of the house, of the dwelling, of the apartment we stay in, plays a very important role in ensuring our comfort, ensuring our comfortness within the house. We stay happy. We want all of us to be as happy as possible. I would like to introduce myself Kundan Dige. I work for Wienerberger India Private Limited, and we are the pioneers as well as the largest manufacturers of clay products across the globe. And we are located in Bangalore. Our corporate office is in Bangalore, and factory at Kunigal, which is around 70 kilometers from Bangalore. And we look forward for your association and with us and our products. And we are happy that you all are associated. You have been cooperating and supporting us for such a long time. We solicit your presence as well as your association with Wienerberger. Now I start the presentation for today, which is topic RETV and its influence on building envelope. So I would share my screen shortly, on which I would open up the presentation for you all.
Yes, we can see your screen.
So, as mentioned, welcome again. RETV, residential envelope transmittance value. It's particularly for residential buildings, for the envelope of the residential buildings. And when I say transmittance values, it largely works with the thermal transmittance in the envelope or in the house from the envelope from outside. Before I start with the topic or the subject what we are going to deal, I'm very happy, I'm very proud to share with you my happiness that Wienerberger as a company globally has accomplished 200 years of its existence. Here existence may not be a right word to mention. It's 200 years of improving quality of living. We have been working with clay, we have been playing with clay, manufacturing clay products in various verticals. We have been introducing various systems, technically advanced systems, and we have been trying to improve quality of life as much as possible for the individuals who have been associated with us. The key takeaways from the seminar today would be RETV and its influencing factors, the study we have conducted, practical experience we have observed, and why residential, why the focus is on residential more and more. RETV and its influencing factors. What is RETV? Let's understand what is RETV. RETV, it is the net heat gain rate over the cooling period through the building envelope, but excluding the roof of the dwelling unit, divided by the area of the building envelope itself or the dwelling unit. Here also the roof has been excluded. Then the cooling period can vary from 8 months, 10 months, depending on the climate zone we are into. RETV less than or equal to 15 watt per meter square, which is being designated or which has been benchmarked as a kind of compliance requirement for all climate zones except cold climate zone, because cold climate zone has a very different requirement. It's more on heating and not on cooling. RETV calculation is comparatively simpler than energy simulation. We calculate envelope area of a residential building from the architectural drawing of the building, construction specifications of material used in the building envelope, apply RETV formula for arriving at the RETV values. Accurate results to arrive at sensible cooling load from RETV values. RETV values provide a very accurate, very quite accurate results to arrive at sensible cooling load. What do you mean by sensible cooling load? Is nothing but loads or cooling energy that would be used for cooling the indoors. RETV less than or equal to 15 watt per meter square is benchmarked as compliance in several countries. RETV is applied for residential buildings only. This has to be a bench. I mean, this has to be remembering that RETV is purely based on residential buildings. Now, what does a building envelope constitute of? Building envelope constitutes of roof, walls, doors, and windows of the house on the envelope on the outer side. The building envelope is the physical and the major barrier from the exterior and the interior environments within the building and outside the building. It's the barrier which should primarily object the ingress or heat gain from the envelope itself of the building. So it should control as much as heat gain or ingress in the indoors. That should be the prime objective of the building envelope. Now RETV considerations are based on three terminologies or three terms which are very influential. One is heat gain from walls. So walls play a very major role as far as reducing the heat ingress within the house. Heat gain from glass we use for doors and windows. Heat gain from window shadings. The window shading which we use or which we do in terms of sunshade or vertical fins is also very important to influence positively on RETV. RETV value is measured in watt per meter square Kelvin. So per meter square of envelope area, how much watt of energy can be ingressed or can come inside the house. RETV for roof has been classified and defined as it should be less than or equal to 1.2 watt per meter square Kelvin. Cold region has different considerations altogether, because as we understand they require more of heating rather than cooling components or requirements. As we saw in RETV, the walling material and its U value, of course, because U value would decide the amount of heat ingress, would dominate or define the final RETV value. Window to wall ratio, what is the opening ratio? Glass U value, glass SHGC, solar heat gain coefficient value also plays a major role. Shading of the openings and orientation of the wall openings or orientation of the building, which plays a very major role. As mentioned, RETV less than or equal to 15 watt per meter square is benchmarked as compliance requirement. It may not be a mandate today, But knowing the challenges in front of energy and environment, in future it cannot be ignored as guidelines for building design parameters, especially for residential. Let's see how each individual component of the building affects the RETV and the gain of RETV, or the performance as far as RETV is concerned. Let's consider scenario 1. Let's consider the scenario 1. Here 160 mm RCC wall or monolithic concrete wall has been compared for the building. Single clear glazing, which is very common specification most of the buildings. No shading of windows has been considered in this particular building, which was evaluated for its RETV performance in warm and humid zone. Like warm and humid zone, I mean Chennai can be a very easy example nearby to all of us, that Chennai lies under warm and humid zone, or Cochin probably. So this was the building which was evaluated. The system was RCC shear wall, clear glass, and windows without shading onto it. We see the heat gain from walls 16.36 watt per meter square, heat gain from glass, and effect of shading. The total RETV for the building at the location with the orientation was 27.16. Certainly not compliant as far as thermal insulation or RETV compliance is concerned. In scenario 2, we kept the building same, kept the orientation same, as well as the climate zone same. We did not change the climate zone at all. But what did we change then? We changed shading of windows. Shading of windows was considered in this scenario. Here there was no shading. Here we have considered shading. Wall remains same, which is RCC monolithic wall, clear glass. The influence is so high, it's almost 50% low. You see, from 9.4, the RETV has come to 4.74. Improving the, although not it's not compliant, it does not bring the building into a compliant zone, but still it has reduced from 27 to 22.5. In scenario 3, we change the wall. We utilize a walling material having U value of 0.96 watt per meter square Kelvin, which is very much possible, which is very much available within the market. Easily you can source this kind of walling material within the market having U value 0.96 watt per meter square Kelvin. Single clear glazing, proper shading also. So wall was changed, shading was kept the same, glaze remains the same, glazing, single clear glazed glass. RETV reduces for walls by 4 times. Just from RCC shear wall, monolithic concrete wall to a thermal insulating wall, the RETV drops by 4 times, 4.36. Clear glass 1.4 remains common all the scenarios, and because of shading we had already achieved the maximum possible, so we have kept that as it is. From non-compliant zone, the same building in the same climatic zone, same orientation, comes to compliant zone. 61% improvement in terms of RETV value just by shading and wall material choice, from being non-compliant to being compliant. RETV less than 15 watt per meter square is benchmarked as the compliance in several countries across, and India is not far away from making it as a compliance for us shortly. So we understand these slides, and we also understand the effects of wall, choice of walling material for envelopes, as well as choice of shading, which falls under design compliance for the elevational purpose. We see the difference here. We did not stop at that. When we understood that there is so much of influence of the wall as well as the design perspective of the building, we decided to further study to be conducted on RETV, for which we conducted a study where different walling materials considered for the building, different climatic zones for South Indian states were considered, particularly South Indian states, energy saving potential for the building was considered, calculated, evaluated, analyzed. CO2 emissions which can be reduced because of savings in energy consumptions was also calculated. Number of trees which we can plant, we can be more green day by day, year by year, which is the need of the hour. That was also calculated. And payback period. This was the most interesting part, because this savings in terms of electricity, in terms of the amount we pay end of the month on electrical bills, would go into the pockets of the dweller occupants, the apartment users, the end users, which would be very, very attractive for all of them. Hence, let's have a look at it. This is the building which was analyzed. This is a 18-story ground plus 18-story building. This is actually getting built in Bangalore, temperate climate zone, built with Porotham clay bricks. It would be Wienerberger product. Porotham clay bricks are Wienerberger product. So it's built with that. So this was the elevation for the building, but we considered different walling materials for the same building with same elevation, with similar kind of orientation, but different climatic zones. We compared with Porotham thermobrick, which is super insulating material, walling material from Wienerberger factory, with 0.585 as the U value. It's the lowest thermal ingress walling material available today. Porotham normal HP bricks with 0.96, very impressive U value, very impressive thermal insulation. Solid concrete blocks, 2.83 U value, U watt per meter square Kelvin, 2.83 watt per meter square Kelvin. And monolithic RCC concrete walls or shear walls, what we call it as, with 160 mm thickness. 3.69 is the U value. 160 is the commonly used wall thickness for external envelopes. High on thermal ingress, lowest thermal ingress for all masonry walls considered with plaster, with external plaster as 20 mm thickness, internal plaster as 10 mm thickness, which we have considered. We considered different climate zones: temperate climate, composite climate, warm and humid climate. Common and popular cities or towns which falls under these zones: in temperate climate, it would be Bangalore. Composite, it would be Hyderabad, Coimbatore, Madurai. Warm and humid, Chennai, Cochin, Thrissur. We see the RETV results. Yeah, amazingly favorable in certain cases and unfavorable in certain cases, dominated by choice of walling material and the design aspect of the building. Here in this analysis, the design aspect remains the same because we have not changed the building elevation or building envelope. Basically, we have only changed the different walling materials in different climatic zones. So for temperate climate, we have considered Bangalore as the location, city. Composite climate zone, Hyderabad as the city. Warm and humid, Chennai and Cochin as the city for the building, which we already showed you in the elevation of the building in the earlier slides of my presentation. So in Porotham thermobrick, it's 0.53 watt per meter square Kelvin. Highly impressive RETV values, 6.9 for temperate climate. Temperate climate, the RETV value is always less because the climate is very, very favorable and pleasant, as we experience in Bangalore. Even in Chennai, warm and humid, or even in Hyderabad, composite, it's reaching just 10 when we use thermobrick for the building. If you use Porotham, the building still lies under compliant consideration of RETV less than 15 watt per meter square for different climate zones or different locations. For solid concrete block, it's compliant only in Bangalore, but in other regions it exceeds the compliant requirements or the defined compliance provisions. 160 mm RCC shear wall not compliant even in temperate climate zone which falls under a very moderate and pleasant atmospheric conditions. RCC shear wall is the system which is being adopted for large projects, quite popular amongst the developers these days, but end result as far as thermal insulation is concerned, it may not be very favorable to consider. As we saw, the RETV values, and RETV values has direct correlation, proportionate correlation with sensible cooling loads, kilowatt hour thermal, what we use per meter square for built up area. So what we did, we tried to tabulate RETV values of envelope area 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, so on, and climatic zones. So for each, if I consider climatic zone of composite, hot and dry, for 10 RETV value, the sensible cooling load would be 93. And for 15 RETV value, the sensible cooling load would be around 120. Hence, we see that there is a difference as the RETV progresses in numbers. Even the sensible cooling load required to cool the indoors goes on increasing, maximum being in warm and humid to up to 264 requirement. Now these values can be interpolated within the table to achieve the sensible cooling load, also to calculate payback and the cost we save, etc. Which you see the correlation. RETV values, if we know accurately, we can accurately predict sensible cooling load for that particular RETV. Higher RETVs values, higher sensible cooling load, lower RETV values, lower sensible cooling load. So for around 7, here we see the sensible cooling load is around 51, 52, quite low as compared to here. Payback period for location Chennai, which falls under warm and humid climate zone, we considered air conditioned area of around 100 square meters. Around 100 square meters. For 100 square meter of air conditioned area, walling area required would be around 1.5 times of floor area. So which would amount to around 150 square meters. Porotham HP 200, tentative costs have been mentioned here. Solid concrete block 200 mm, cost has been mentioned here. A comparison between cost, the additional cost a customer would pay to procure Porotham, which is highly thermal insulating, thermally comfortable to stay within, would procure around 27 rupees extra per brick. Here it may be wrong to mention it as a cost. I would consider it to be an investment. So additional per brick investment one would do would be around 27 rupees. Total additional cost for 150 square meter of walling area, around 46,500 additional cost. The payback which one would enjoy annual basis would be around 11,181 rupees per year. Payback period to achieve or to gain this cost extra investment which one has done, which is 46,500, around 4.17 years. If I consider the life expectancy of the building as 50 years, the payback period is just 8.33% for the building. Potential saving of electricity cost in the building lifetime. So for the balance year, if 4 years goes into my payback period, the balance 46 years, one has an opportunity of earning the potential savings on electricity cost by around 5,12,000 rupees, which is substantially high, which is very good. Zero maintenance cost required for the walls, but they remain thermally comfortable throughout the lifespan of the building. How much energy? We save close to 1700 kilowatt of energy annually, which means we are less emitting our CO2 by around 1550 kgs. That much amount of less CO2, carbon dioxide, is being emitted into the air by saving of this energy units. While we physically don't plant any tree this time, but actually if you calculate, we are planting 70 trees for 100 square meter of wall area which is cooled using a material with 0.96 watt per meter square Kelvin of U value. So we can have so many trees planted, and this is for only 100 square meter. If we extrapolate this to 10,000, 1 lakh square meters, we can imagine how many trees can be planted as a notional thing, but it would be actually realistic in terms of saving of CO2 emissions due to saving in energy cost. So we have done similar calculation for Bangalore as well. Bangalore falls under temperate climate zones. The payback amount per year was around 4,800-900 rupees. Payback period 4.6 years. Potential saving in the energy consumed is 612 kilowatt hours, which is substantially high annual basis. 557 kg of CO2, as well as around 25 trees can be planted for just 100 square meter of air conditioned area or 150 square meter of walling area, just by using a little consciously a little thermal insulating walling material. We did not stop at that. This was all about the study what we did. Now you have a poll question to come up. So I would request poll question to be posted in front of the audience. So practical experience, I proceed. Practical experience and observations. So we did not stop it there. We continued doing measurement of temperatures in apartments and houses around different climatic zones, built with Porotan, also built with different walling materials. The temperature recorder was installed in a residential dwelling units. Temperature was recorded hourly basis in a day for a couple of weeks continuously. And this was conducted from months of March to May, peak summer seasons. We noticed very positive as well as encouraging results in terms of temperature drop. We have noticed close to 7 to 9 degree temperature drop for naturally ventilated indoors. Air conditioners were not used. Naturally ventilated indoors, from outside temperature to inside temperature. We did not stop there. We also checked with concrete block houses, which are majority we find in the city. We noticed we made a very peculiar observation when we recorded the temperatures continuously for a couple of weeks, hourly basis, from outside to inside. We noticed the temperatures remained low indoors as compared to outdoors. But as the outdoors started becoming cooler, so this was the temperature recorded at 7 p.m. Temperature outside was 31.3 degrees Celsius, whereas inside was 34.2 degrees Celsius, which was high, substantially high. So we noticed indoor temperature cooler by 3-4 degrees during midday period. But indoors were higher in temperature as compared to outdoors in the evening times. Just to elaborate it further, we plotted a graph there. So you see the red line on the graph is the outside temperature, and the gray line is for the concrete block house, and the orange line on the graph is for the Porotam clay brick house. We noticed as the temperature went on increasing as the time passed from morning 9 AM onwards, the temperature outside went increasing up to 34 degrees Celsius. Concrete block did gain, Porotam did gain the temperatures, but Porotam had certain limitations in terms of gaining. It went maximum up to 27-28 degrees Celsius. After 3 o'clock, 3 PM, we started seeing or noticing reduction in indoor temperatures, substantially differentiating between outside and inside. But in concrete blocks, the temperature still remained increasing marginally by a degree, 2 degrees, but it remained increasing and differentiating itself from the outside temperature. This showed that the heat which the thermal gain which has happened in the concrete block building, it keeps emitting even after evening or the outdoors have become cooler, but the concrete block keeps emitting its heat indoors and the indoors remain hotter and hotter. This is a peculiar study which we observed, and then hence we say that clay walling material would always help regulate indoor temperatures or control indoor temperature. This is exactly what is seen if we notice the graph, and we can understand from the graph here. So why residential? Why there is so much of emphasis? The whole RETV concept itself talks about residential envelope transmittance value. Why residential? What is so peculiar? What is so particular about it? Residential buildings are expected to grow 2 times in terms of floor area by 2030. A significant percentage of it would be high density or multi-family houses, apartments. Ensuring thermal comfort to occupants through design and choice of material will be of prime importance going ahead. Need of thermal comfort is everybody's requirement. It has direct influence on the energy consumption. If we have to reduce the energy consumption, if we have to reduce the CO2 which we emit by through energy production, what we do, largely, let me also tell you, 85% of the energy manufactured in India is through coal thermal power plants. So as much as coal we burn as for thermal generation or thermal generation for energy production, we will be emitting more and more carbon dioxide. Now we see Econiva Samhita, where RETV is part of Econiva Samhita. Energy, it's being brought out by Energy Conservation Building Code. Part 1 purely deals with building envelope. It talks about building envelope, it designs building envelope, it deals with completely with building envelope. Residential building energy requirements. We have seen the requirement of energy in the year 2017, extrapolated to 2030. This is sourced from Niti Aayog. I mean, the data is sourced from Niti Aayog. Residential buildings consume in 2017 close to 255 terawatt hour energy. Terawatt hour energy is 10 raised to 12 per hour in terms of watts energy has been consumed, which was amounting to 24% of the total energy consumption went to residential buildings. By 2030, we estimate, or we have an estimate of around usage of around 850 terawatt hours of energy in the year 2030, which is not very far off. And from 24%, the residential consumption of energy would go to 38%, which is a double-digit growth which we would require. And largely, let me tell you, this residential consumption would be going towards air conditioning, towards conditioning of our indoors. Hence, RETV planning of or selection of your walling material, selection of the design for the building becomes prime important. If we need to save this energy, we need to save CO2 emissions, reduce CO2 emissions. This becomes prime important. If we see climatic zones of India, India is divided into 5 climatic zones. Out of 5, 4 climatic zones are dominated by the regions which require cooling requirement instead of heating requirement. Only the cold region which falls under north of India and a bit in northeast of India and some fine points here and there which falls under cool climate zone or cold climate zone does not require cooling, but rest the 95% of the geographical spread of India requires cooling, and hence design and material choice will play a very major role going ahead. Econiva Samhita, it's being introduced by Ministry of Power on December 2018. It deals with perspective mode, prescriptive mode and trade-off mode. It adopts prescriptive mode and trade-off mode, and the whole of building envelope, design and choice of material has been the key element within the code which has been highlighted. Sometimes it becomes, especially when we are facing challenges or we are facing uncertainties in front of us, it becomes very important for us to ask ourselves some basic questions, for some common sense questions. Is it possible for a building to be sustainable? Let's think over. Is it possible for a building to be sustainable? We have seen the challenges. We have experienced the challenges. We are experiencing the challenge in various modes and terms. So buildings can be made sustainable? Why not? Buildings can certainly be made sustainable. There is no reason why a building cannot be made sustainable here. Here we see Bishnupur temple, which is in West Bengal, which was built in 17th century. And this Bishnupur temple was completely built. You see the shading. You see I would particularly focus or emphasize on the shading. The amount of corridors they have left, the way the shading has been done, the opening areas, and it's in West Bengal, which falls under warm and humid climate zone largely. And it stays so cool. Built in 17th century, built with clay. Qutub Minar, 1200 AD, built with clay. Great Wall of China. These are all sustainable examples of monumental buildings which have been there in front of us. 221 BC. Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. This was a bathing center in bathing tank in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, which was built in 6000 BC. A classic example of sustainability using clay as building material, walling material. Yes, of course, they can be made sustainable. Sustainability is the capacity to endure. In simple terms, sustainability is the capacity to endure. Healthy wetlands for human sustainability is the potential for long-term maintenance of well-being. Ecological, economical, political and cultural dimensions, these all can be considered to be sustainable. Why clay? Long before sustainability was a priority on building and houses, clay bricks, as they lasted forever and required almost no maintenance, were considered to be a great kind of construction material. Clay as a material have been used for centuries. It has proven its credibility in terms of time and performance. It's a natural material, helps regulate temperature and moisture. Most important point, it provides natural and comfortable living for the occupants of the house. Clay as a material is very adaptive. Today, the sustenance is not of the fittest. The sustenance is of the people or the buildings which can adapt itself. Clay as a walling material has evolved over a period of time. It has become bigger, lighter, cooler, cheaper, environment friendly and precise as far as dimensions as well as deliverables are concerned in clay walling material. So Porotam, Wienerberger, as I mentioned earlier, Wienerberger plays with clay. Wienerberger HP brakes which are used for non-load bearing, Wienerberger vertically perforated brakes which are used for load bearing type of construction, And we also have super thermal insulating bricks, which are thermo bricks, which are also used and manufactured by Wienerberger. Wienerberger is the company which is situated in south of India. The plant is located at Kunigal, 70 kilometers from Bangalore in Tumkur district. And we established ourselves in India, Indian context, in the year 2009. Till date, we are proud to mention that we have supplied or constructed more than 20,000 individual residences, for more than 45,000 residential apartments across South India. Overall, Wienerberger deals in verticals of walls, facades, roofs, manufacturing different walling materials made out of clay. We, at the end of this is the end of the seminar, and at the end of the seminar, we have handouts for you, which you can download through a link. It's a white paper calculation of RETV for residential projects. The whole study of this was done with Greentech Solution Knowledge. Thank you very much. You can note our details. Now we would open up the question answer session for any kind of questions which you have. So I have few questions coming up on my panel. What is the U value of 160 mm RCC wall? The U value is 3.46. Can you show the section of the wall with U value 0.96? 0.96 U value would be 230 mm thick wall with using clay hollow bricks of 200 mm thick, 20 mm plaster considered outside, and 10 mm plaster considered inside. The U value, the next question what I have on my screen is U value of clay bricks. U value of clay bricks would be around 1.8 watt per meter square Kelvin. There is a question, a very good question, that since we are talking only about residential building, can we use this material for commercial buildings too? Yes, this can be used for commercial buildings as well, and it becomes more and more energy savings, but during the office hour, during the working hours of the building, as it's a commercial building. The full form of RETV is residential envelope transmittance value. The study which we consider for RETV value consideration, it was plastered walls. There is a question which I have, that whether wall paneling is separately required for thermal insulating. If you use walling material with U value of 1 watt or 0.96 watt per meter square Kelvin, then wall paneling, to achieve substantially good amount of thermal insulation within the house, paneling would not be required separately. But yes, it also depends in what is the requirement of thermal insulation and what kind of orientation, natural lighting, natural ventilation is utilized. There is a question. What is the RETV compliance? The RETV is yet as a proposed code, and most of the outside countries, other countries are following as less than or equal to 15 watt per meter square as the RETV compliance. And same has been proposed as far as EcoNiva Samhita code is concerned in the study. And similar code would be passed, similar regulations would be passed. Hence, we consider it to be around less than 15 watt per meter, which is very much achievable. There is a question that whether AC conditioning was considered as split AC installations. So yes, it was split AC. We have not considered as centralized AC. It's the split AC's conditioning what we have considered for the study. There is what is the calculation method for commercial buildings? So there is no calculation for commercial buildings because lot of energy load in commercial buildings happen from internal loads itself. The lighting, the lighting, what we use, the amount of airflow fans which we use, etc. So in commercial buildings, especially lighting dominates, lot of energy consumption. Hence, this RETV is purely based on residential buildings. Can clay bricks be used for retrofitting the existing apartment? Yes, very much. Clay bricks can be used for retrofitting the existing apartments. There is also a good question that what is the effect in winter season when we use thermal insulating blocks or thermal insulating walls with lesser U values. What would be the effect in winter season? In winter season, as it's cold outside and you require heat inside, it acts like a raincoat. To give an example, it will store the heat within the enclosure of the house, and it would not allow the external heat to flow, I mean external winds or air to flow in. Also, the heat flow is always from higher side to lower side, so the heat will try to pass from inside hot air within the house to outside, which would not happen because you are having thermal insulating walling material. Wire cut bricks, I presume wire cut bricks to be solid clay bricks, which is conventional walling material. The U value would be around 1.8 watt per meter square Kelvin against around 1 watt per meter square Kelvin. There is a question where people are mentioning that I mean people wish to know that how Aerocon blocks differ. So Aerocon blocks are also thermal insulating blocks, but they are of very high porous nature. Because they are of very high porous nature, the water absorption in these blocks would be as high as 30 to 40%. When I say water absorption is 30 to 40%, the thermal conductance, when a block absorbs water, it becomes very high on thermal conductivity. So the U value or the R value or conductance value of these blocks would keep varying because of high water absorption into it, high amount of water content into it, and that is purely because of the nature of the blocks, which is very porous. So humidity as well as regulation of the temperature may not be as productive or as effective as in clay walling material. What happens to RETV when the walls are plastered with cement? Yes, when the walls are plastered with cement, the RETV study what we have conducted is conducted you considering that the walls would be plastered. We have shown the wall thickness we have considered is 230 mm. and we have considered it with plastered walls itself. So the actual study has been conducted as the actual building would be. Is it advisable to use in industries? Yes, very much it is advised to use in industries, because you require a lot of thermal insulation in the industries because of the machines running, because of the boilers and various machine parts. It becomes, although the area may be wide open, but there is lot of heat gain from within, and hence you can use thermal insulating clay material or walling material inside, because in that case you would not have additional heat coming from outside, which will enhance the heat inside the factory premise. The density of the blocks is around 600 to 700 kg per meter cube. Okay, there are some questions which we can separately address as well, like about internship and other things, which we can separately address on one-to-one basis. Any covered roof materials in RETV? Any covered roof material in RETV can be thermal insulating roofs, can be PU roofs, can also be filler slabs, which can give you high amount of heat insulation from ceilings or from roof to enter into the indoors. Can you tell more on trade-off method mentioned? So there is a question which is good and interesting to answer, that can you talk about trade-off method which is being mentioned. Now in trade-off method, what happens? Now let's consider this study itself, where we are talking of RETV. There are different segments. One is walls, for which RETV is considered. One is the clear glass, and the other is the shading of the windows. So in trade-off method, what happens? If we aren't able to achieve the desired amount of shading, it may be because of elevational requirements, it may be for various reasons, then we can improvise probably the walls a little bit, either in thickness or better U values, and we can trade off the difference. The heat gained from the due to less amount of shading on the walls can be built up or can be compensated by using proper selection of walling material, or vice versa. So this is a trade-off. If you lose somewhere, you have to gain it somewhere else. So I mean, in simpler terms, I try to explain. So that is what is trade-off method. I mean, wear and tear of clay walling material is what is asked by somebody. So let me tell you, if walling material is being manufactured in quality controlled manufacturing process and systems, there is absolutely no possibility of wear and tear unless until intentionally done to the walling. We have seen in my presentation some examples like Vishnupur Temple or Qutub Minar or Great Wall of China. They all were built with clay bricks or clay blocks, and they were fired at the right temperatures. They were being taken care as far as quality is concerned, and in that case there is absolutely no worry in terms of wear and tear of the walling material. Would you tell RETV for gypsum plaster area? Yes. I mean, RETV can also be applied for gypsum plaster area. I mean, this is the question what I've got. So gypsum plastered area, and in gypsum plaster, it would be a little better off than as compared to solid. I mean, plastered surface, sand cement plastered surface. But gypsum plaster can be only applied internally. Hence, we can consider it as an internal 10 mm plaster, having certain amount of positive contribution to the RETV. So I guess a lot of questions are still pouring in. As far as I mean, the benefits will go to the end consumer, but today also it is important for anybody to be a little smarter in terms of selling the property in challenging times, and hence thermal insulation, green products play a very major role as far as preference of the end users. What will be the U value of normal clay bricks? Yes, I have already answered that earlier. It would be around 1.8 watt per meter square Kelvin. Can the RETV value of 200 solid block for Hyderabad be reduced as much as possible? I mean, RETV value of 21. Yes, it can. If it's already constructed building, probably shading of the opening areas is only the option which is possible for reducing the, or making it more thermal insulating. But if it's yet in planning stage, then proper choice of walling material will be helpful, and it will certainly help. The weight of the blocks, they fall under lightweight category, so the density is 700 to 800. 8 inches Porotham clay hollow block would weigh around 11 kgs. Why Porotham bricks are available in multiple variations, and there are thermo bricks and other model names. What is the difference? The difference is basically we try to innovate and improvise our own products day by day with deliverables suited for different requirements, and basically it's our efforts towards improving quality of life, and hence we have various products available which we can make. Can walls be exposed made of clay bricks? Yes, walls can be exposed which are made of clay bricks, provided the quality of the walling material, the clay bricks is good enough, is fired properly, so that water absorption has to be less to ensure that the walls remain seepage free, and construction method of construction has to be good as well. Can load bearing walls can be built? Yes, very much load bearing is very much possible. And to how many floor? To how many floor would be a design perspective, as we need to design the building. So it purely remains as a design perspective as far as how many floors is concerned. But easily up to G+1 can be built by using load bearing bricks which are available. Crushing strength can be around 7 to 8 Newton per mm square, which should be sufficient to build around G+1. I again repeat that there is a handout, RETV white paper, which has been published by Wienerberger. So you have a link in the handout column itself, so you can download the paper, and that would be good for your technical gathering of the information. Some people, I mean, in the question, they want more information on particularly Wienerberger products. So we can have it dealt with one-on-one. You can find the contacts of Wienerberger currently onto my slide there. So you can note down the contacts and you can reach to us anytime. So there is a question, how many green building points do one get? So you get close to 6 in IGBC lead rating. 2 points for energy efficiency of the product, 2 points for regional material if it is regional, and 2 points for material with recycled content. Can facades be used as a shading material in Hyderabad? Yes, very much. If one wants to insulate the building, and if it's already constructed, then probably, and if there is a scope, of course, then facades can be used to air ventilated facades, especially made up of clay would be better, because in that terms it will also help regulate the climate within, temperatures within, and it should be air ventilated facades. I think some of them have already downloaded the white paper. I would request for all of them to download the white paper. Thank you very much for your time, for your precious time, and thank you for patient hearing. We had very encouraging questions, encouraging feedbacks from you all. Most of the questions I have tried to address to you all, but in case if something is yet to be pending, we have the list of questions, so we will certainly get back to you. And please feel free for you as well to contact us anytime on any kind of consultation or consultative service or products. We would be more than happy to address you and your requirements. Thank you so much. Thank you once again.